I am Yuji, a personal trainer. There are several elements to building abdominal muscles, but one important aspect is contraction. As I always say, not many people can properly contract their abs, so let's focus on learning how to do that. Next is stretching. When stretching, it's important to maintain maximum tension without letting go of the strength. Therefore, it is essential to firmly grasp these 2 points: contraction and stretching. Once that is achieved, by adding intensity and repetitions, the process of building abdominal muscles can accelerate significantly. So, this discussion is based on the fundamental concepts of contraction and stretching. I believe we have focused on the intensity today. There are various techniques and combinations to increase intensity, but this time I would like to specifically focus on increasing the pause weight. When we talk about increasing the weight, what is the appropriate weight for your body to handle? Since I don't understand, I would like to proceed by adding weight. We will be incorporating this dumbbell into our routine, and since the pectoral muscles are also worked during shoulder exercises, it's true that using heavier weights tends to build muscle more effectively. The same goes for the abdominal muscles, of course. By adding weight, each repetition becomes more effective, so having some weight is definitely beneficial. However, this is quite similar to bench press exercises. Not rushing ahead is important. We will focus on the contraction and stretching points first, and then today I want to intentionally add weight. So first, we will use this dumbbell, whether it's from the gym or any other place is fine, and we will start with the very basic exercises. First, we will do a crunch. When doing the crunch, hold the dumbbell in this normal position. This is how we perform the crunch, but I want to point out a few important details. First, when adding weight, where do you hold the dumbbell? Where you hold it is quite important. For example, when I hold it here, if I place it behind my neck, it becomes much easier. Even with the same 5 kilograms, the distance from the pivot point, which is this center, significantly affects how heavy it feels. Holding it behind the neck makes a big difference. It's quite easy. Honestly, I don't feel much weight here, not at the neck, but rather at the top of my head, where some people say there are 2 whorls. It's at the whorl area. This means bringing the dumbbell to the farthest point, which is at the corners of the head. Also, there are people who don't know how to hold it. But for this type of dumbbell, you would typically hold it like this. You would hold it like this, and then place the dumbbell here. Instead of just using your hands, you should focus on this area here, right at the corner of your head. Even if you don't have a perfect angle, it's important to press down on this corner area. It should feel like this. I want you to hold the dumbbell in this way. You should avoid excessively gripping with your hands, especially at the wrist, and instead hold it in a way that feels stable. This position is the best for adding weight to the dumbbell while performing crunches. When you do it, it will be at the farthest point. If you attach it here, it will be at the farthest point. The weight is completely different between here and here, so please make sure to attach it at the farthest point. First, this is the basic principle. And well, another basic principle is that when you do it like this, it becomes essential to return to the starting position. When you're doing it, if you're holding it here, it starts to feel like how to lift this, and it becomes a situation where you're just pulling with your neck like this. Are you saying this here? Furthermore, if you push with your hands, it should only be a light touch. As the abdominal muscles contract and the back rises, the neck and head follow after that. So, when lifting the dumbbell, it should feel like the dumbbell comes up high or swings up without any force. The back rises here, and this nuance indicates that it follows along. Well, first of all, it's important to do it gently without using momentum. In this case, when adding weight, the focus should be on the contraction of the abdomen rather than seeking height. This is particularly important for the dumbbell crunch. If we want to level up a bit more, we can perform the double hyper crunch using the dumbbell. With the shoulder blades retracted, hold the dumbbell above your head just like before. From this position, lower both sides while engaging the abdominal muscles. Well, I won't go into too much detail right now, but doing the double hyper crunch in this position is extremely tough. Whether you're holding a 5 kilogram dumbbell or not makes a big difference. If you're not holding it, it's much easier, but when you do, especially when you lower yourself, the distance from the center here becomes significantly greater, requiring a lot of strength. You really need to engage your core as if your lower back is empty, but, well, just the regular double hyper crunch. For those who can already do 15 repetitions, using a dumbbell like this can increase the intensity and accelerate the development of abdominal muscles even more. Additionally, holding a dumbbell isn't limited to just one way. There are different ways to hold it now. For example, with the crunch we mentioned earlier, there are also different ways to use the dumbbell. In this position, you hold the dumbbell like this. It's called a dumbbell lift class, and from here, you push it up as if you are pressing it. Breathe out and push, stop, breathe out and push, stop. This is also quite important. It feels like you are pushing towards the ceiling. Imagine pushing this itself with the palm of your hand towards the ceiling. By doing this, the shoulder blades rise, which causes the abdominal muscles to contract. There is a great exercise called the dumbbell lift crunch. Of course, it enhances the cost-performance ratio. While doing this, you might wonder how it works, but it's actually quite beneficial. From the outside, it may just look like you're holding something, but it's really effective. Especially as you reach your 40s and 50s, the importance of core stability becomes evident. The oblique muscles can become weak, and if you're not careful, they can weaken even more. When you hold the dumbbell and push it forward, your posture improves and your shoulders come forward. When you lean forward, the ribs tend to sink in quite easily. When you're sitting like this at a desk, the pressure is pushing down, and the core often becomes quite loose, making it hard to engage. As I always say, many people find it difficult to feel that sensation of tightening the core while exhaling. However, with the dumbbell lift crunch, you can push in and engage the core effectively. This allows you to utilize not just the core muscles, but also feel the abdominal muscles while performing the crunch using this contraction. Holding the dumbbell during this exercise is key. When doing a crunch, it's not easy to exhale. You don't just breathe out, it's more about inhaling and then exhaling in a rhythmic manner. By doing it this way, you can achieve a different kind of effective crunch. Now, while performing the dumbbell lift, in this position, you push up strongly. Just like with the previous contraction, you also engage the auxiliary muscles strongly. While maintaining a state where the ribs are contracted inward, continue performing the leg raises. This position is quite effective, and it feels really good. When you push down, your shoulders drop a bit, right? You should push down firmly enough to raise your shoulders, exhale once, and keep everything tight. Breathe out lightly, and don't lower your upper body. Your upper body should not bend too much at the waist. Make sure it doesn't drop down. This is similar to what we just did. By pushing like this, just like in the dumbbell lift crunch. Let me explain it a bit without the dumbbell. By knowing this, can you keep it inside? Maintaining this state makes it easier to stabilize. Often, when doing this, people tend to let go when lowering their feet and they end up loosening up. It becomes loose. It's easier to be conscious of keeping the ribs pressed in while doing this. Maintain that hold. There is an easy way to do leg raises, and you can also increase the level of difficulty with this current dumbbell lift for leg raises. This method offers benefits beyond just increasing the weight. Here, I would like to try a different way of using the dumbbell. I often introduce this kind of technique. There is something called a two-up. What is a two-up? We use a dumbbell for this. Where do we use it? Not here. Not here. You hold the dumbbell with your feet. But it's not like you're a monkey holding it like this. It's more like this. And you want to keep it as close to your ankles as possible. If you attach it and hold it firmly, it won't fall off, right? If it drops, it would be a big problem. If it falls, it can be quite serious, so make sure to keep it securely closed. Lift and lower. Contract while exhaling. Lower. Lift. Lower. As much as possible while holding the dumbbell. I will pull it up in my own way, and it will become a peak up. Well, as you can see from me now. Well, Takada managed to grab this with his feet, which brings it to a pretty high level of 200. Honestly, doing this with 5 kilogram dumbbells is way too tough. Even for me, 5 kilograms is just too much. And it really feels intense. Is it tough? It's quite tough for me because I'm a short person, so my own weight feels really heavy. I think this is about 2.5 or maybe 3 kilograms. At that weight, I can finally manage. When you reach a high level of 2-ups, it becomes difficult to think about it too much. I believe it's better to use lighter weights since you can't really handle heavy ones. However, in the case of regular 2-ups, if you can do them to a certain extent, just by incorporating a dumbbell like this, you can elevate the level of the 2-up significantly. So you can use the dumbbell in this way. As I mentioned earlier, abdominal exercises are important. Master the points of contraction precisely. Then, focus on the timing of stretching when bending your legs as mentioned earlier. By paying attention to these points and increasing the intensity, you can raise the weight. This involves increasing the number of sets and repetitions. As a result, your abdominal muscles will be effectively developed. Combine these 4 elements together. Therefore, as you level up in one aspect, your overall level will continue to rise. Increasing the weight is also a crucial part of building strength. So while focusing on the points of contraction and stretching, make sure to incorporate these practices. Please give it a try with your strengths. Let's do our best. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm also on Instagram. Please follow me. It was a victory for the first leader.